Looks like Greg's joining us. That's good.
Evening all.
Hey, Greg.
Hi, Stuart. How are you going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Robert?
Hello there. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Good. I hadn't checked the audio beforehand. Sorry.
That's right. We've just had our own struggles.
Ironed out a few issues.
Good. Well done. Well, I hope you can iron out an issue for me later on tonight too.
Oh, what's that?
I've had, as you may know, I've got a dog that will train me to feed him when I'm on the phone. Wait there. I've had this. I upgraded my website to Joomla 4, and just before Christmas, I got an email from or a message from someone on social media said that they'd liked something they'd read and they tried to post a comment, but they got a token error, a form token error when they did the submit. I'd never seen this before, and I mean I've seen token errors at the back end when you're going to log into the administrator or something along those lines, and I'll just refresh the page and get on with it. But I've never seen it at the browser end, the front end, and I've never experienced with the comments. Of course, what I don't know is if this error existed before and no one bothered to contact me. This person but took the effort to contact me and say that they'd had the error. And this led to, I've still got the errors now, but I thought I'd nutted them out. So it's led to about 3 weeks of testing, goodness knows what, with the developer. And also with some help from Patrick, a lot of help from Patrick, trying to nut it out. In fact, I moved to, it's the extension I use is CC comment. Hello, Britt. Off at the moment. The extension I use is CC comment, and I end up looking at Akiba's Engage instead, and spend a couple of days playing with that, thinking, well, maybe I need to switch. And I quite liked Engage, even though I was worried about it because it's not a strictly supported product by an extension by Nicholas. So who knows where it's going to be in 6 months' time. But I also got the form errors with it. So this is something that's carried on going. And then I found a topic post from about 2018, I think it was, maybe a little bit earlier, on Joomla, where they said that HTML minification might be causing the problem. And so I switched that off, and it seemed to solve the problem. I thought, you ripper, that's what the problem was. But it's the JCH optimize. It said to switch that off and that extension. And I did, and everything seemed to be fine. And then I went live with it. I'd taken the comments out of the live system, but I'll put them back in again with various changes I'd made, the configuration and so forth. And then the very first blog post, I thought, I'll just try posting a comment on it. And I got a form token error. I got it on my desktop, I got it on my laptop, I got it on my phone. It didn't matter what I was using. And if I refresh the page, the error went away, but I don't know that it's doing that all the time. I just think in that particular circumstance it went away. So I was just wondering if the issue comes up when you've got a comment extension or whatever in the middle of your article, and so you've got the forms up, and I guess you click on that, you click on the text area to post a comment, and at that point, I think the Joomla form is passing this other little form a token. I suspect. I mean, I don't know. I'm not technical enough to know that. And then when you type away merrily your comment, and then when you click send, that's when you get the token error. Patrick thought it might have something to do. There was I was having problems with Google's reCAPTCHA, and he thought perhaps it was something there. Perhaps I needed to. I could try turning off reCAPTCHA. I think I've done this because I think on all of the testing I've done, I've kind of lost track of everything I did, but I'm pretty sure I would have tested at some stage turning off reCAPTCHA and just seeing if the error is still there, and it's not something I can just say, well, no, go there now and click and it's going to appear. So I can't nail down what the circumstances are, which is really frustrating. And you see, I can see that the error is going to occur when I go to, if I inspect the code. So if I'm inspecting code and then I click in the text area to make a comment, it'll come up with some errors. And then I know some JavaScript errors and so forth. And then I know that I'm going to get the form token error. Has anyone had any situations like that? And if so, how did you fix them?
That's a bit of a leading question, I think. I've not experienced it, but predominantly I'm guessing because I don't have anyone commenting. So, yeah, I can't help you with that one. Someone else might have some clues.
Anyone? It seems to me that a website like a Joomla website or CMS website, you would post things and then you'd expect to get comments on it. So I would have thought this would be really straightforward functionality, but it's clearly not, which is odd because it kind of works okay in WordPress. I even said at one stage that I was really struggling with this, and I got to the point where I couldn't, I'd make changes and they just weren't refreshing on the screen. There's something to do with the cache. And I reached out to Patrick and I said, is there something with Joomla 4 now where it's really caching? Because I was clearing the system cache, I was clearing JCH optimize, I was turning it off, I was doing everything, and things were still stuck on the page. I'd go and I'd clear the browser and it was still there. I thought, what's going on? Why are these things still there? And so I said to him at one stage, I'm beginning to wish I'd gone with Squarespace. Well, he just about chucked me off the Joomla group at that stage.
What's the component you're using? Is it a freebie?
No, I pay for it. I pay for most of. I think I pay for them all. CC comment is the component. So, it comes up pretty high in terms of ratings and so forth. He's been very responsive. We did find that there was a problem with the Joomla, with the Google reCAPTCHA. So that was a bug which he fixed really quickly for me. But I don't think this is just CC comments problem, because Engage, Akiba Engage had these token errors as well. And I don't know that they're necessary. I don't know where the message is put out, token error, because I can't find it. I thought, well, if I refresh the page and I'm able to post the comment, maybe I could put a more meaningful message up there than formed token error. If I put a more meaningful message up, I could suggest that they refresh the page or click on I could structure the message so that they could click on a link to go to contact us and it would come to me, and then I could investigate and I could probably post a comment for them. So I thought, that's the way to get around it, but I cannot find where this message is put up. Whether it's a Google error, and that's one thing that Patrick had suggested it might be. It could be Google.
Robert, it's on your tall and true.
Yes, it's live now. So,
and was it a particular article or any?
No, actually, if you want, rather, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But if you want, you can go to this one instead, and that'll save me having to log into the live one. Can I just? Where's the chat gone? Come back here. You go to this. I'll give you a URL because I set this up specially just in case anybody was out of London tonight. Here we go. And this is a backup. This is an Akiba copy of my website from yesterday. So it's exactly the same website. It should work exactly the same. So if you click on that URL, you go to a staging copy, and and what happens is I moderate the comments. And so I've always moderated the comments. Somebody put up a rude comment once before, and I thought, well, I won't bother posting that. And what I find is that if you get the form token error, the comments don't come through.
So where am I putting a comment?
Okay, so if you go on that website, if you just pick the first one, a fresh look and focus, pick of me with the dog, and you scroll down the bottom. So the idea would be you read your articles, you've got a bit of a bio about me, and then you've got comments. And if you click in there, leave a comment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that works fine. What should happen?
I got a capture code error.
Yeah, just got a plain red invalid token error message.
And it works perfectly fine for me. Don't know why.
So I got a capture code error. The capture code doesn't match.
Was it perhaps because we were all trying the same page? No, that doesn't make any
I
sense.
was trying the new 50.
Yeah, right. I went with the first one. But yeah, I got the capture challenge. I picked all the crossings and it let me submit it.
Okay, let me try again.
We seem to have lost Robert in the process of doing that.
Everyone's hitting his test website too heavy and it's kicked
Probably-
him out.
It's hosted at home. It's crashed his connection.
Hello, Jerry.
Traffic jam.
That's right. We haven't really started yet. So, we're just trying to troubleshoot something for Robert. Pull up a proper chair if you wish. Yep.
The
Yeah,
process I had to
I
go
tried it.
through-
I tried it and got the invalid token error.
I had to go. The process seemed okay. Don't think I've got any errors. Thanks for your comment. You'll be notified when it's published on Tall and True, but it still says comment 0.
Yeah, I got the same. Works for me, but it's obviously something going on.
What browser is everyone using?
Chrome.
I did mine in Firefox actually, just because that was set as my default.
Yeah, I
Mine
did
was,
one in Firefox and it failed.
Yeah.
mine was Safari on the iPad.
I use
Okay,
Chrome.
well, that's a pretty edge case test, or an edge case, but if something's going to break, it'll break in Safari on an iPad.
I used Edge and I got one fail and then one success.
Hello, everyone. I'm back.
No. Works for some of us, Robert, not for others.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just I was looking at the screen. I couldn't see reCAPTCHA coming up on the staging, and then so I said, "Oh well, let's try the live one." And that stage, I just lost everything on my my desktop. So goodness knows what happened there, and I dropped out of Zoom. So you would have seen the error that it comes up. It's pretty ugly, and I'm not sure what's triggering it. I have put out a call to CC comments to see if it's
I would think it's a problem there. Yeah. Have you tried any other comments plugins or just that one?
Yeah, I tried Engage, and I was going to go down the Engage route. I got very close to it. I had a problem, and I logged that with Nicholas, who came back, and I said, "Look, I'll still get." The other problem I had was these form token errors, and he didn't come back to me. And I just thought, well, look, I'm going to. I've got another 6 months of. If I'm getting the same errors in both of these extensions, then the problem is, I think, with the posting of comments within a Joomla form, and it doesn't matter what the extension is.
I think you're probably right.
And so then, if I got 6 months of it, I've got 6 months of support with the other bloke, the extension developer, and I'm never going to get support from Nicholas for Engage, because that's what he said is the case. Then.
Oh, that's not a supported product, right?
No, it's not. And so I don't really want to go down the route of using a non-supported product.
There are a few other comment systems, but I think most of them are commercial.
Yes, and again, I don't mind that. I looked at RS Comments one time.
Which one?
RS Comments.
Oh, yeah. And
I was keen on that because, and in fact, I ended up, they don't have a trial or anything, so I ended up subscribing to it. It was a few years back now. And I did that because I've got RS Form Pro, which works really well, and I've subscribed to that for years. And before this website, I used to subscribe to it with another website. However, it used a different version of Bootstrap and all sorts of things, and it absolutely screwed up, and it wouldn't work properly. And when I contacted them and said, well, no, that worked. In fact, it wouldn't work properly with the template I had, which is not this template, but another template. And they said, oh, yeah, well, it's the template developer's fault, it's not our fault. But RS Form works with it, and RS Comments doesn't. Oh, well, we can't do anything about that. So I don't really want to go back to them.
No, fair enough. Russell's not here. A few people may have had the same experience with RS products. RS Forms works brilliantly, but
yeah. It's a different. I think it's developed by different people. A
I've used
bit like
RS
Joomla.
events and I found it quite difficult to wrangle.
All right.
Anyway,
Yeah. So this product should work. I've customized it quite a bit because what it was doing, and I did that based on the experience of looking at Engage. What I liked with Engage and what I'm looking for with any comments now is that the user has to put a name in, because the one I had, this particular one in the vanilla case, before I did some code changes on it, it would ask you if you it was linked into Gravatar, and it would allow you to post comments as anonymous, which is a bit silly, really. I ended up with a bunch of comments in there, anonymous. I don't care if you call yourself Daffy Duck, that's fine, but at least differentiate each set of comments.
Sure.
And the other thing it did is that you didn't have to put an email address in. And what I found with that is that I don't think all the email notifications have been working. So there's a possibility for email notifications, and I don't think that's always been working. And I wanted the ability to be able to go back and say, your comment's now been published. And if you don't give me an email address, that doesn't happen. And if you're just anonymous, that doesn't happen. And some people put some really nice comments in. You'd like to be able to go back and say, well, your comment's published now. Thanks a lot. And in the vanilla product of this, it doesn't do that. Whereas Engage does. It expects you to put a username and an email address. He doesn't publish the email address, obviously, but expects you to put both. So I made some changes, but these errors were coming up before the changes. Anyway, it's a shame. So some of you got the form token. Just as a matter of interest, those of you got the form token error, if you refresh the page, did it come back again?
No, it worked for me. I did a second and in fact a third one.
Yeah.
The second and third ones work fine. No problem at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we have no solution for that so far. That's good.
Put that in the no solution bucket.
It sounds like it might be, so this is on Joomla 4, yeah? So it might be something.
It could be Joomla 4, but I would say that this form token error is listed in Joomla forums from a number of years ago. And this is one of it just so happened that they talked about JCH optimize, and that if you took out the HTML minification, that it was going to work. And I did that, and it did appear that it was going to work, and then it came back again.
so I got a success on Edge 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
I got a fail on Chrome and a fail on Opera
Right.
for the same link.
Have you tried disabling JCH optimized completely, just in testing it? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And it still happens.
Yeah. As I said, I've done a lot of testing on it, and it's difficult because you think, well, I'll document. What I ended up doing was documenting how I got it to work, and so I had that all nicely documented. What I hadn't necessarily documented is I've tried this and it failed, but because I tried it again and it wouldn't fail. So I thought, well, what's the point of documenting? I tried this and it failed. I tried it again and it worked. I tried it again. It might have worked. It might have failed. I don't know. I spent a lot of time. It was very depressing, and I ended up drinking a lot, which is not very good. Trying to sort it out. And I thought, bugger it, I just won't have comments, but I really want to have that ability for people to leave. There aren't many comments there. That was the other thing. It's the cost benefit analysis. I might have, I don't know, 12 to 24 comments on the website. So I've got hundreds of articles, hundreds of stories on there, and blog posts and that. And so I thought, well, why am I bothering to do this? But I'm bothering because really, if you're going to put out material, you're going to showcase material, you've got to have people be able to comment on it. It should be a very basic thing to be able to do. And anyway,
There are about 6 or 7 different comment components, Robert. So I don't know, maybe it's worth having a look at something else.
Uh,
Yeah.
I used Discus years ago, and I went off that because it was it looked like it was farming email addresses, and people were complaining about it. But you know, you had to have a Discus account, so I don't want to put barriers up in front of people leaving comments. All I want them to do is to give me a name and an email address and put their comment up. And
Yours is C comment pro. is
yeah,
that-
yeah, that's it. C comment, like CompuJoom.
So basically,
Okay, Compagent, right, yeah.
so this comment system, you want it to do, give the reader the opportunity to write a comment, put their name and their email, submit that. That comes to you and it notifies you with an email saying, hey, there's a new comment here on this article, and you go in and approve it or delete it, depending.
Yeah,
And that's it.
well, that is pretty much it, Glenn. But in part of this upgrade that I've done, and I don't want to take over the meeting, so you know, you guys. But in part of the upgrade, what I've done is I've accepted. If you end up reading the blog post, I've accepted the realization that this website, as much as I wanted lots of writers to contribute to it, it's just not happened. I've got a small number of contributions, and I've got a large number of stories and blog posts and other pieces writing from me. So I've changed the whole thing now so that it's showcasing my writing. So if someone puts a comment up, I'll log in, and then I will reply to that comment, and that's it. So I've taken out the option now for if you go in there and you like their comment, I've taken out the option that you can comment on their comment or reply to their comment. You can make it as comment and refer to it, but you can't reply to it, so that won't be in the thread. So I've just simplified the whole thing. That's all I want to be able to do. You should think it'd be simple.
I hate to say this, but I believe WordPress does this out of the box. So
I know. I've got a blog site that does it, WordPress, but
You'll need a couple of plugins to manage all the comment spam though. So
yeah,
and
and
cost in.
I don't really want. I've been with Joomla for a long time, and I like this. I like the look of this template. I like the way it's working. I like the way that the website's all presented now. I did one. I'd had a blog on WordPress, and then I changed my theme. I went with Divi, and then I chose one of their themes. And it was a big job. This was a couple of years ago, so I had nowhere near as many blog posts. It was a big job to move it from one theme to which wasn't a page builder theme. So you know, from that to Divi was a huge job, and I don't want to do that. As Britt will know, if she's listening, this in itself was a big enough job, and you know, we've done thanks to Britt, and then thanks to also to Patrick. We had this hello. I wanted the because I changed the way I wanted to. So on the positive side, setting aside the comments, on the positive side, I wanted to change the idea of other people contributing and call them guest writers. And so in their guest writers, I wanted to give them their own place with their own writing that doesn't have all my writing around it. And I thought that would be a nice selling point for them. And the only way I could really do that was with tags. And so Britt showed me something that she had done with tags, and kind of made it look like it looked like a category blog. So using categories, and so I wanted that bit of functionality. And so Britt was very kind to give me some templates, and then I did a bit of code hacking, which was very tricky. But I got this thing. So if you go onto the live website, you go down to go to share, and there's an option called down the bottom of share called guest writing, and it shows the guest writers. All those people there are tagged as guest writers. So it doesn't matter what categories, what genre their writing is, it's going to appear there for them in the guest writing thing. And that now looks like, if you go to any of the other menu options, which are category blogs and even the featured one, that's what it all looks like. It's part of the same website now, whereas before using the tags, it didn't look like it was. It looked like what it was. The tag option, the tags functionality has been developed by somebody else at Joomla and within the Joomla community, and then the category blogs has been developed by someone else, and they don't kind of look the same, which is a shame. Now they do. Just got to solve the comments.
Robert, did any of these successful posts come through on the?
Yeah, thank you. While we've been talking, while I've been blabbing, wait, Bev's 5 seconds for me while I try to remember what my password is. I do know what my password is.
Did you say you looked at RS comments a few years ago? It might be worth having another look.
I did have a look. I looked at it again the other day, and I don't know. I looked at it because in addition to this, I thought, you know what? They had a big discount on. I thought, well, I'll risk it. But I really didn't think. Is it a year since they've done some development? There was something made me think. You know what? They haven't invested. I think they put all their. At the time, I felt that they were putting all their effort into RS Form Pro, which was understandable because that was the big seller for them.
Yeah, so its last version update was a year ago.
Yes,
year.
and that.
So it's been updated for Joomla 4, but another one you might want to look at is Commento by Stack Ideas. I don't know.
Okay. Yes.
I use a bit of their kit, and it's usually pretty good.
Stack Ideas had Easy Blog, don't they?
Yeah, Easy Blog, and I use their Easy Discuss forum a bit as well.
Okay, I shall go. It's good to know that. I think I looked at Easy Blog years ago. Yeah, I can see a whole bunch of comments in here.
Yes, it's an odd one.
Yeah, so all the comments are there. Wait.
Well, mine worked the second time after I did a refresh,
That's good.
but got the token error on the first attempt.
Yeah, so my best case scenario is at the moment, I feel if I can't solve this file token is to intercept that message and make it, oh, oops, an error has happened. And in fact, I've got an example here. Joomla Shack. Joomla Shack had put up a form token error post.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And I'm going to just put that link in because I think it pertains to not the website. Chrome Mac, bugger. So a browser, but I think it's kind of like it. But they've got ways of being able to replicate the error, and it's more to do with logging in the back end, I think, or logging into Joomla as opposed to what I'm doing, which is basically sending a comment from within the form.
Yeah, no, that's a different thing.
But their point is valid. That make a better pay, make a better message. And if I could intercept that message, try refreshing the page or click here and send off to me. Then I think that'd be better.
You can override the message through language overrides.
I can't find it. It's not there.
It exists.
Does it?
Yeah, it should. But yeah, absolutely.
No, you say it should. I've had a good look.
Is this the one that just comes up error?
No, the one I get is just the error message is please chat. Sorry. The message I get.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that modifying the error message is your real solution, Robert.
No, it's not a solution. Stopgap. I agree. I just get invalid token. So I don't know if the same message for you guys is invalid token, lowercase I, lowercase t.
That should almost certainly be somewhere in the language variables, invalid token.
Yeah, I've searched for it. I can't find it. Oh, I think it's hard coded. I reckon that message has been hard coded somewhere. Now, how to search for a hard coded string literal in the PHP code is beyond my.
I'll have a look for you, Robert. See if I can find it.
Thanks, Nathan. But look, thank you, everyone. Clearly, the error is still there, so I might have to disable the comments for now because otherwise it looks pretty tacky. Just a shame. I can always get them to contact me and I'll create the comments.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's tacky too. Oh well, actually, send
Well,
them
you're
to me.
you're getting some comments, Robert. So you know,
Yeah.
could be worse.
But again, big thanks. I know Patrick's here, not here, but big thanks to Patrick. Big thanks to Britt. Really, I've appreciated their help and what I've called a fresh look and focus for the website. So a while ago, I got talking to you guys, and it became Britt said, "Oh, I think you can do a bit better," and she was right, and I got a brand new save plate out of it, and then so I just want to. It's usually every 1 to 2 years I get to come on to these meetings, and suddenly I've got something brand new. So I think I've got another year, Britt.
Oh, well, you've put in the hard work, Robert. You know, you just have to sit tight and help us iron out these challenges, because if you're having this challenge, then someone else is too.
Yeah, I think so. What I probably end up doing is sort of might switch off the comments on the live site and just allocate a little bit of time. One of the things, I don't know if you guys have found this, but Brett and I were talking about it. Once I get stuck into the technical side and I get stuck, there's a problem and I can't do anything creative, and so I don't do any writing, and that's really what I want to do. So I find it's very hard. The right and the left hemisphere of the brain, I think, and that just won't talk to each other.
But it's looking good and it's loading nice and fast.
Even with Minify HTML off.
You'll at least have a new topic for writing, Robert. How to troubleshoot successfully.
Yes, I'll put that in my technical writing side. I'll forget about the creative side. I'll just do technical writing now on. How to beat your head on the desk successfully. Thank you, everyone.
There's one just question. What is your global system session settings set to, the session handler?
Is that PHP?
In the global settings.
In
The global settings. Okay. Hang on. I don't know about you too. I'm still learning where to look for things in Joomla 4. Global configuration. There we go.
Session handler.
Is it that system?
Yeah, system, session settings, session handler.
45 minutes.
No, session handler.
Oh, database, sorry.
Try sending it to PHP and see if it makes any difference on the test site.
I only get file system and database as the options.
File system. Is it or Stuart?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that is a difference on 4.
Now it says session save path. Do I have to have?
No. It's in PHP. Yeah,
Because
it should save to your temporary files.
Now, because I had wondered, and this is a sort of a general upgrade thing. Warnings. I get this message here, which I'm going to pop into. I get this message. I had after I did the upgrade, I got this message, and I'm blowed if I know. I had wondered if that was causing the problem, and I was trying at one stage. No.
No,
You're posting it? You haven't posted it.
I had. Oh, sorry. Me to Glenn.
who?
Sorry. I'm just. I've been.
To everyone.
Everyone. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, Glenn.
sorry, that's my fault, Robert.
Glenn has it.
That's a configuration issue on the server.
Yeah, I've had a lot of that problem as well.
If that's cPanel, you can fix it by changing the temp path to the full directory. So like home, the home directory name, I think it is / then public HTML / temp.
So that'll be the same if it's a shared server. Should be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll do that.
Okay.
The thing is, it should be set correctly by your service provider, but yeah, you can override it with your own settings.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So if you
great.
put the absolute path, including your home directory, it should work.
Okay, and I'll do that in cPanel?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
So in your PHP options, scroll down to the bottom. This should be the temp path field.
all right, yep.
You can override that. Yeah.
Thanks, that's great. Thank you very much. I'll get into that tomorrow.
I only came across that myself about a week ago. So
Yeah, that seemed to be the only persistent
That
error
might-
after I did the upgrade.
that could conceivably be related to the problem you're having. Certainly be worth fixing it to rule it out.
Yeah,
And just on the upgrades, as a general question, people been putting the HTTP security headers on, enable them? It's another warning message I've got that I might want to consider. Post-installation message, sorry, for Joomla.
Yeah, I'm kind of running admin tools and everything, so I'm still kind of going with whatever it wants me to do.
Okay, yeah, I use admin tools as well. So I'll just, if it's not telling me to do it, then I won't worry about it. Cool, thank you.
My biggest issue recently has been components that say they're ready for PHP 8, which are in fact not ready for PHP 8.
But are they ready for PHP 8.1?
No, they are not. I started there and then backtracked and
Right.
got back to 7.4. I was like, oh, look at that, it works. What do you know? Fabulous. It'll be end of life soon, but it's all right.
Robert, just another question. What have you got system cache set to? It's a setting above that session handler.
By memory, from memory, it's progressive. No, conservative, that's right, because I, by nature, I wanted to stick it to progressive. But I'm pretty sure that's the case. Let me just check. Conservative caching.
Have you experimented with turning it off?
The CC comment developer turned it off. And after he turned it off on the test one, thank goodness. And then after he turned it off, I couldn't get articles to load. So I don't know if that was connected to that or not, but I just noticed that.
Comment systems don't usually work very well with cache.
Okay.
Like not at all, really.
So
I pretty much don't run cache unless it's absolutely essential.
So does that mean you don't have things like JCH optimize and things like that?
I use JCH optimize, but I don't use its caching. Because a lot of the sites that I run that would benefit from the caching are also very dynamic sites with member logins, forums, that kind of stuff. So hardly any, and most of the interactivity is based on user login. And very few caching systems deal with logged in users versus non-logged in users, basically. They're frustrating.
Patrick had suggested, because there was some of the errors that I was getting referred. If you looked at the string about the get form token, it was connected to CC comment. I could tell it was connected to that part of it. One of the scripts. So he suggested, well, can you find that script? So I thought, well, rather than I couldn't identify exactly which script it was. So I thought, well, what I could do with it is just you can turn off use comments from JCH, get it to ignore that, so it won't put any caching on the comments. And I thought that might work, but it didn't. I had no difference.
It should work, but yeah, Patrick probably would answer that one better than me. He's the expert on JCH. I only use it on a couple of sites, or have done so far. But I know Patrick does use the caching. So I tried using Lightspeed cache for about 3 weeks on a large site I run, Australian Book Review, which is a online book review website, Robert.
Hmm.
That they
Should
have
go there.
subscription memberships, etc. And just even Lightspeed Cache actually has the option to have different caches for different access levels or groups. So I thought, beauty, no worries. This will work wonderful. Apart from the fact that we had this little custom plugin running to allow institutions to log in via IP address.
Mm.
And even though they had their own access level, because there was no login mechanism happening, Lightspeed Cache kept generating their version of the pages for the general public.
Oh. Well, I think Lightspeed Cache got it, and among the forum comments, I think Nicholas was very scathing of it and was saying, well, if it's being used, you should get your hoster to switch it off and things like that. I couldn't tell whether I had it switched on or off or what.
Look, to be fair, there are lots of things that Nicholas doesn't like and bangs on about a bit. So, you know.
He's doing a talk I noticed on, and he may have already done it on the London Joomla, how to break Joomla. Joomla group.
He's apparently, Terry tells me he's built a website which has very good documentation on how Joomla components actually work in J4, which is not to do with the official documentation at all. But it also comes with a fair dose of Nicholas's side humour and sarcasm when it comes to the project generally.
Okay, well, I shall try switching caching off on the staging environment. And I will take comments off the live for now.
It's just a question of trying, you know, different things and eliminating what you can, and eventually will hopefully help you find a solution.
I felt what I've done, because I have changed the code, so I thought, oh, maybe I've introduced this, but the problem was there with the original code, and then I can, because I've done it using the override, the HTML override folder, I can switch back. But I can switch between using the original version, the other version, and they're exactly. I get the same error. I get the same form token. And again, if you inspect the code, the errors tend to come up the moment you click into the text field. And when you click into that text field, what it does is it does a little bit of background stuff, and it hides that compressed text field, and then it shows the expanded text field and the hidden fields of the username and the email address. So
Did you say you were using JCH on it?
yeah, I am.
Yeah, I wonder if, I know it's risky, but I wonder if just turning it off and just seeing it.
I have.
Yeah, because
I've
I've had a few issues where it's blocking stuff, and it's just because of the way it compresses all its JavaScripts.
Do you make sure, Robert, when you turned it off, that you then also cleared its cache?
Yeah, you got to clear its cache, turn it. I will work this out. Clear its cache, turn it off, clear all the system cache, and then you've got rid of. You should have got rid of all the cache. But I don't know if you've had this experience. You do all that, refresh the screen, and I'd find things like CC comment I did disable CC comment. So I just thought, well, I'll disable that. I've had enough of it. And it would still be there. So I would switch off the cache.
NBN by any chance?
Could be. I don't know.
I have that problem in Nambour.
Do you? Do you have the NBN up there? God.
Yes, and to be honest, I have so many caching issues with my IP here. It's crazy.
Well,
absolutely crazy, even in incognito, and yet anyone else, anywhere else is seeing the change, but not me.
Yeah, and I used to use a CDN, and that was just
It blames my Mac, but it's not my Mac. It's the IP.
It can't be a Mac.
It's not a Mac problem.
Probably your ISP is proxy caching a connection and not telling you.
Yeah.
Who's your ISP?
It's Tangerine, but it's Telstra. Yeah. Telstra, Telstra. Well, it's NBN, but it's by Telstra.
It's usually because your ISP is sending you through a proxy that's caching stuff and you can't see. Yeah. So not a lot you can do about that.
No, but it's horrific. Sometimes it's just the most frustrating thing in the world when you're trying to work. So short of getting my own virtual IP.
Yeah, it's I find it interesting that my website is not mission critical. It's just got a bunch of relatively static documents there and some images, and then the only sort of dynamic part is if someone wants to put a comment, and even that's not that dynamic because they're putting a comment, submitting it, and then they don't see that comment come up until I'm notified and I go and do something about it and make it come up there. So it's pretty static stuff. So I wouldn't want to be I'm not, you know, I'm not saying it's just Joomla, but I wouldn't want to be doing something here which was life. People's lives depended upon it. But it's frightening. And especially then if you go down that daisy chain of, it's the NBN, it's Tangerine, it's Telstra, it's your browser. No, it's not your browser because that's the Mac. It's it's the extension. It's Joomla. It's really tricky.
I mean, I spend days in DNS flushing and Mac rebooting, and it's got nothing to do with it. So it's just a random IP thing, I think.
Well, hopefully when I come back next time, I'll be able to say I've got comments cracked, and I'll be able to say thank you very much. Or go and comment.
We're relying on it, Robert. We're relying on you testing that for us.
I can test it. I don't know. I'm very good at finding problems. I'm not very good at solving them.
Yeah.
Robert, did you say you turned staging off? Oh, sorry, caching off before?
No, I shall do so now. I'm going to do it now. So I've left the session handler as is to file system. No, so file system. Going to leave the session save and path, save and close. Sorry, I got distracted. Thank you. It's just logged me out. Can't believe it.
Again.
Hang on. I'm going to turn off all the caching. That's going to be it. Oh, for goodness sake. No. Hang on. Admin tools have got me. Right, back in here. Global configuration. So I'm going to turn this off on staging. Caching is disabled. That's fine. Good. Save and close. I'm just going to turn off the JCH optimize as well. Just clear that cache. Put that into development mode, which is switched off. Go to system and clear the cache. Well, I go to system. There is no cache now, so that's definitely yes. I'm now cacherless.
Okay, so let's just try that.
I should do the same.
Did you just get a comment from Opera? From me, sorry.
Let's have a look. Yes, I did.
Okay, well that worked where it didn't before.
Yeah. So as my page now looks speed-wise, I wonder, Patrick. I've turned off all the caching.
Yeah, functionality kind of trumps speed, I would have thought. But
It's true. It's trying to find that sweet spot, I think.
I tried it again and it worked fine.
I'll give it another go.
All right, I'm going to do the same. When I tested it so many times, because I'm using reCAPTCHA, in the end it must have thought I was spamming it. It kept coming up and I had to keep identifying traffic lights and cars and things like that. It's quite frustrating.
Yeah, well, that is frustrating.
Yep, it's that worked for me.
It's all good for me too.
Yeah. All right.
Positive blue comment.
All right.
I got an invalid token on Edge.
Did you? Oh, who would use Edge anyway?
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah, worked.
There we go.
But yeah, it's worked for me in Firefox both times.
Okay. I'll do a range of tests. I've got Edge on this machine, but I never fire it up. Maybe I better try it. And I shall put a comment in the meetup notes as to whether it was successful or not. Thank you. You've all been very kind.
It is just to check. I am here. I'm just there. Tallandtrue.com.au is what we're looking at, isn't it?
Yeah. Was that good? 90, 98, 100, 100.
bad.
Now that is, of course, that's the live one, which has got the caching on and it's got JCH optimize on.
So the staging.
Yeah. So this
Sorry,
one, Patrick, is
looking at your staging site.
Yep.
And I just ran a network test on a page, and it's under a second. There's the usual pile of shit in it, images and so forth. It's not a big page. It's fast. If you leave gzip on, that'll make up for most of the difference in caching anyway.
okay. Yeah, I used to get really finicky about the images, but after listening to Patrick and Brett talk about images, I'm more interested in that they don't look pixelated and that they're.
So your staging site's 88, 98, 100, 100. So 2 points.
That's all
Hardly
right.
worth it.
Hardly worth worrying about.
And that,
Do you mean I can save? I can disable JCH optimize now. I can. Or
Well,
maybe
you could probably troubleshoot JCH. So just kind of
take it down.
ever reducing what you're doing, ever reducing what there's something there that's obviously blocking that script, and it's just because of how it's bundling it, is my guess.
Okay.
So
I like using JCH optimize and that, and I think we talked about this. We did talk about it, Patrick. No Numbers has got one of these. Just that ability to be able to refresh a page, so that rather than having to do the whole website on the cache, I just want to refresh a page that I've been working on. I like that. That part of it is quite good.
so
Patrick.
if you click on the error, that it's a case of taking out the particular piece of JavaScript that's identifying or causing the problem. But that's fine tuning at its finest, turning off the caching typically. And I haven't seen comments on there on any of my sites, but I know from having encountered issues just with RS forms that the solution is to turn off the caching on the form page. And then that fixes everything else. So yeah.
Well, that's I should have added to. I don't get the form token errors with RS forms, and as soon as I started to get it thinking again that it was to do with Joomla 4, I thought, well, I'll test to see if it's with RS forms as well. And I use it in 2 places on the website, and I'm not getting those errors.
yeah, so maybe start with just the lowest common denominator of settings, and then just progressively, work through and see when it brings up that issue again, because there'll be a sweet spot probably.
Well, I did think I had got it, because I rolled it out in the live only after I'd done all this testing, and I've got it. And then I put it on the live, and the very first blog post, I thought, I just test putting a comment out, and then it came back again. Swine of a thing. It had gone away.
Maybe you can, Patrick, do you reckon we could isolate the script that it's doing it to?
I can find it for you, because it's when it
We
happens.
can leave it out of the JCH optimized. You can actually say exclude the script.
Yeah, that's the.
I think the script that it's doing is again, I'll go from memory, but I can find. I've got screenshots of it, because it's actually it's a cached minimized version or whatever, and you can, and so I had to scroll through this really long piece of text, and I could see form token in there. Yep, and I can see that it's CC comments. So I know it's their code that's doing it, but it's in this that they've got a caching area, and so I wonder whether I can somehow switch off their. I can't find. I thought I could find an option in their component to switch off caching of anything and to do with them.
Yeah.
Well, in this script exemptions and JCH, you should be able to locate it.
Okay, I'll do that. I know where that is, and I have
And
used
just
that.
exclude that script from going into the optimizing, and that would hopefully.
So Patrick, on again for the benefit of everybody with JCH optimize, I put comment in there as a to ignore that, and I thought well that's going to ignore everything to do with comment, so I'm going to be that means
Yeah, not quite sometimes, because again, like I was saying earlier today, that if this token is actually to do with the reCAPTCHA JavaScript.
Yeah, which I hadn't considered. Yeah.
And that pulls in
And the communication between the two. Yeah.
Well, that's the bit I put it out to the developer, but I hadn't heard back from him because I think he's probably on the rotor of things. He spent a lot of time with me. He was very kind because it was clear if I had any hair left that I was pulling my hair out at the end of last year.
So I had no hair.
And he was I used to have a lot of hair. And he was very kind and said, look, don't worry, don't let it get to you, because I was beside myself with this thing. It was just driving me mad. Finally getting somebody putting comments on and they're getting form token errors. It's very frustrating. All right. I've got lots to go on with. And I thank you everyone. And once again, big thanks to Brett and Patrick. I wouldn't have the fresh look and focus without you guys.
Hey, the way I look at it, Robert, is that if you're having a problem, we'll probably encounter it ourselves at some point. So it's all just part of the sharing, right?
And to that point, I did share with Patrick some of the problems I found with the tag component. So he would be able to share that with you as well. Some of the workarounds.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've kind of just followed that path and then progressively implemented it on all projects. And we have run into some challenges with it ourselves, but for now, it's the best that we can find with what you can do with tags.
It's brilliant. As I said, you can, if you go to the website and you go to guest writing, and I've just contacted all the guest writers to tell them this is what I've done, so they can go and look and they can see that their writing's there. It looks like the rest of the website. It doesn't look like I've stuck them in the back room, the chook shed or something like that.
And that's what we'd love to see out of the box. Like out of the box, Joomla 4, should have tag layouts that just emulate the category block layout, because that's how you'd use it, really. You don't want a crappy looking list of tags. I don't think any of us really use that. So that's what it should do out of the box.
Well, it's a great way to organize your articles so that you can, again, like the categories are genres for me, so that you can have a tag which identifies these people which are across a genre. It doesn't matter. Let alone the fact it probably should have multiple genres, but
it allows you to reduce the number of categories as well, because then you can have all these child tags that are associated with them rather than. So it's a whole kind of different way of thinking about your structure. But we've had quite a bit of success, haven't we, Stuart, with a few projects that are quite big, like really large document databases as well.
We have some, but not all plain sailing, as you said.
Well, I've been looking to use tags. I looked to use tags on the website when I launched it in 2017. So to say I launched it in 2017, I've been developing it since 2001, but probably more in the Joomla sphere for about 2-3 years before that. I could never find a way of using the tags that worked elegantly until now. It's crazy.
I think one of the nice things about the Joomla tags are that they're hierarchical, so you can actually put them where you want them as a child or a parent or more. Whereas you can't do that in the system. Shopify, for example, it doesn't have that sort of hierarchical structure to tags, which is just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So
it's an area that we could definitely, I think J4 could definitely, it'd be amazing if it came out of the box and you didn't have to have Brett's overrides. You're lucky I had it documented somewhere.
Great.
As rudimentary as it was, but
a little bit of code hacking on my part.
It's like, here it is. Here's what we do.
Go, it's yours.
Yeah.
Robert, you'll be pleased to know that I've just finished doing a full text search of the entire Joomla 4.2.6 stable full package expanded, and there is no reference to invalid token.
So Patrick said today he thought it might come from Google. I wonder if that's
A recapture.
Yes,
yeah,
that is more and more likely, I think. Yes.
Now, while you've all been chatting there, and when you get back to your inbox, Robert, you're going to find that I've gone from that point of comment testing to comment spam.
all right.
In multiple comments from 3 different browsers.
Yep.
And since you made the change just at the start of the conversation, I couldn't get invalid token on any browser.
Okay.
So
That's
Stuart
on staging. Yes. Yes.
yeah, Stuart might have just got the last fragment of it on
on Edge.
The caching of Edge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably cached its own stuff, does it?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I was using premium on JCH Optimize, so, or maybe I was using deluxe. I don't know. I'll start minimum, intermediate, average, and then see if.
And just
no,
incrementally.
But
You're probably better off doing what I tend to do is start with optimum, then go into
All
the
right.
option.
Up the other way
Okay.
down? Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Save time.
And
Yeah,
actually
sure.
hit each line with a hammer.
and leave caching off. Leave the data, the caching off in the system.
No, so I've got Joomla's core cache on.
Mm.
I think let's see what I've done there. Here's what I prepared earlier.
You just don't want too many moving parts, Robert. So just test one thing
Yeah.
at a
So
time, one change at a time. Yeah.
Really, I got it straight from the horse's mouth. I actually interviewed Samuel Marshall, who's the guy that creates JCH. For reading exam, which I need to finish the article tonight to get it into this weekend's magazine edition.
Okay.
Conservative caching is his recommendation,
Mm.
and then in JCH Optimize, I'm not using page. Where am I?
Page.
No, I'm not using the JCH Optimize page. I know I am on this site. But I'm excluding the contact page.
Yeah.
Or I should be.
All right.
All right, I'm excluding the contact page now.
The joyful thing, like
that term invalid token.
Yes.
I'm sure I've seen that on the front end login where you haven't. It's been a long while since you logged in, and you go back. I've seen that error occasionally, so it must be somewhere in Joomla.
That's true. But the difference between, because that's the I'll just flick back to you the Joomla Shack to everyone article page. It shows it's talking about that example, and it's got uppercase I and uppercase T, whereas the one that we're getting on the for this form for the comments, it's got the lowercase I and the lowercase T, and I think that's
I did have case sensitive on. I'll redo that.
So I think that might, and it's sort of, to my mind, it's kind of a Google thing that they would do that. Sorry, everyone, you get a lot of shine on my head here.
Come back to you in 10 minutes when it's finished.
What tool are you using for that, Nathan?
Well, not 10 minutes, but VB Edit on a Mac.
Hmm.
So it's like yeah, it's like an advanced text editor that you have on Windows and stuff.
And it can scan the entire tree.
It does multi-file searches. So you
Right.
basically just drag
Greg,
a folder in and search
Greg,
away.
sorry, Nathan.
Sorry.
Sure.
No, so yeah, you basically just, it will search any text string. You can also use grep and do find and replace and stuff with it. It's pretty cool, actually.
Greg, do you use PHP Storm?
No,
Yes.
no.
No, you don't. I use PHP Storm and it's got a find file. You just point it at the high level of the directory and it goes find in files and finds an instance of a string anywhere. Same sort of thing. Super quick.
So
So,
PHP
yeah.
Storm is a PHP editor, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Might have a look at it. I've come across it occasionally, but
Thanks, Patrick. I'm just making some notes here.
This is searching a folder on my server, so that's not helping.
Okay.
So I've just loaded loaded your page and looked at done a network inspect and the recapture_en_GB JavaScript. And actually the API. Yeah, so there's two parts to it.
Okay.
So the first one doesn't, if you can't exclude it with the first one, then exclude the second one as well.
Okay.
But the second one's actually called by the recapture API. Oh, yeah, there is it. So, yeah.
With the Joomla 4, just on a general thing, is it where we're talking before about the updating the point releases, and they take a long time, and it turns out that it looks like it's not doing the point releases, upgrading everything. Have people found too that if you go to system manage, is it manage extensions or update extensions? It's very slow. It's a long time before the actual screen refreshes. So they check for updates.
I never do it from the home page. It takes forever for some reason if you click on it from the home page. So I go click on system on the left first.
Yeah.
And then it all loads really quickly. So I don't know what's going on the home page or the main
home dashboard,
control.
right?
That's the one you're talking about, yeah, where it's got icons.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had the same thing where I thought it was just sitting there taking forever. And then I click on system over on the left and it just loads straight away.
Okay.
So yeah, but that would be my workaround for that. I'm not sure what they've done with the query on that page, but yeah, it does seem to take forever. If you click on system on the left, Robert, and then does it then load them all quickly on the right hand side?
Yeah, pretty well. It does it because I think, to be frank, I didn't know that home dashboard was there. I think I always come in. I must always come into system. No, that's not true. I must have come into here. Yes. It reckons everything's up to date on there, which has been
always good to go to update sites, click on the rebuild button, and do that again.
Yes, yeah. I often go in there and find out what's been switched off. It's good.
Basically, it gets disabled if it doesn't connect at some point.
Yeah, and I think it times out, doesn't it? Because it's
depends on all the servers that hosting the updates and the network connections and stuff. But yeah.
Well, if I was wearing my hat, which would stop me shining so much on top, then I'd take it off to you guys, because I find just maintaining this one site and then go and do the same thing with, I think it's 3 WordPress sites I look after. It takes a long time to get everything. And that's, sorry, mate.
It's mostly the WordPress sites.
Yes, the WordPress sites will take forever.
Where you're talking, I missed the part. I only came on at 6:30. The comment there on the size of the Joomla package.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a lot of difference at the moment between the point updates and the full package.
Okay.
Because what's been happening in Joomla 4 is that they tend to do an npm build, which then goes and gets all of the things that are in the vendor folder. So they're constantly keeping all of the libraries up to date for third-party extension or third-party vendor libraries, which then means that all gets packaged as well. I have asked the question before, and now that you've raised it here, I'll go back and ask it again as to why, if only 100 files are changed from 0.4 to 0.5, why are we shipping a 35 meg download when a small one could go much faster?
I tend not to worry about it, because I find with some of the upgrades, like RS Form Pro, sometimes won't upgrade, and so the only way around it is to download it and then so it won't update, I should say, for the update site. And so I find the only option is to download it and then to install it from here. I guess nowadays with my NBN anyway, it's blisteringly fast, and I don't have to worry about how many gig I've downloaded really. So
I got the same result in search without case sensitive.
okay.
Doesn't know about invalid token, so I would suggest perhaps it is coming. That's just the core package, so no other components or plugins installed.
Well, I have put out one message to yes. So I put out a message to the CompuJoom saying, well, do you know where this message comes from? Because I want to try and override it, language override. I had looked through his PHP code and couldn't find where. I found where I thought it might be, but it's not there.
Doesn't seem to be. Anyway.
The other option is that it's actually interpreting a browser error. But
Invalid token. So it's not really an invalid form token, just invalid token. So invalid token.
But that Joomla Shack article suggests that there is such a error coming from Joomla in certain circumstances. So
that is, and there is an override for that particular error, but it's not. And I found that in the language override. It's not the same one.
So that article for Joomla 3 or 4?
That one would have been for 3, I think. Yeah.
2018. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be then.
Have you added the staging URL to the Google reCAPTCHA? You've done all of that, all the hybrids?
Yes, I didn't. I think that was Patrick. Thank you very much. Suggested I needed to do that. I've just done a quick Google reCAPTCHA invalid token, and there are lots of listings here.
Yeah, we're not alone. Yeah.
And in fact, I found one where it's lowercase I, lowercase t. Mind you, that could just be them typing away. Does anyone else find the Google reCAPTCHA page is really, really difficult to understand as well as to what you're supposed to do? Good. Well, I thought it was just me.
Have you touched on any Google tool?
I think I have upgraded it because I think there's a new, is it Google 4 or something like that, or you've got to use a new one. So I did manage to do that, but I each time on where do I get the code? I can't find the spot where I get the code. They could do with a good documentation team, couldn't they?
I could do with not changing things.
Jettisoning, getting people to go down one track with this particular thing and then saying, "No, I'm going to get rid of it."
GA4 was a really quick product launch after GA3, which really had only been stable for about 5 years. And like something that's used worldwide by like everybody who does web development.
Yeah.
Like I've got just with one client saying their forums, we have 65 partner organizations that run through the same forums platform, which means we have 65 different Google Analytics profiles. We also have a bunch of shit ton of complicated GTM tracking set up that talks to those Google Analytics profiles. And over the next couple of months, we basically have to migrate them all to GA4 before July 28 or whatever it bloody is. And it's like not a small exercise. It's like, it's actually a couple of weeks of work. It's like,
and their environment.
It's great, but it's like, oh, thanks, Google.
I don't think their admin environment, it's not intuitive. I'm totally lost when I'm in there.
Yeah, they've got so many custom variables and tags running through GTM. Like I'm doing a list of like about 140, and they've all got to be reconfigured to talk to or the GA4 or whatever it is. It's just like, it's a nightmare. That's my whinge.
You need a Jimmy Reese video on it, but anyway.
I was like, it works perfectly
The
well.
person who decides the Google stuff.
Did it really need like changing completely? Oh.
Is it a security reason? Is it because the web's become a less secure
no,
place?
And they sit around in a really nice waterfront lunchroom making big decisions about, what about if we do this? And then
No doubt there was a meeting where they went, look, we're going to have to do it at some stage. You may as well just rip the Band-Aid off and do it now. Because if we leave it another 5 years, it's going to be even worse.
oh, you reckon it was that logical?
That's usually how those kind of decisions are made. Rather than let's map it out over the course of the next 5 years, give people an easy upgrade path so they can just click a button and migrate all their data and their profiles,
And then we'll move offices and take away our phone number again so they can't find us again to ask us how to get help.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Thank goodness it's not run by Twitter then. It's all right.
Yeah, so they'd be throwing out the sink, wouldn't they? Right. Well, I've got lots of things to try.
You do.
And Patrick's finding more and more things for me. Thank you, Patrick.
Wipe the brow. Hey, but at least we turned off a few things and got it working.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah. And I did a blog post the other day, and I did a podcast on the weekend. So I've now got probably a week free where I don't have to think about writing creatively, so I can think about problem solving this. Excellent.
Good.
So Robert was the only person who had problems to bring. Excellent.
There we go. Just bring me along. I'll bring my problems.
I have a cautionary tale to tell.
I had a few. I fixed them. So go, Stuart. Tell your tale.
So this is an interesting one, and it's a bit outside of the Joomla realm, but it's quite entertaining. So we did some training for the Reserve Bank of Vanuatu, thanks to a contact that came through from Glenn. And as part of that, we couldn't upgrade. We were doing a test upgrade here in the office with the representative of the Reserve Bank of Vanuatu, and they didn't have the ability in their own system to create a test company which we could upgrade and migrate quickly. And we're under time pressure because we only had it for 2 days. So I created a copy of their site on my test server, and we did the test upgrade. That all went swimmingly. We eliminated a whole lot of modules and various other things, and I promptly then went to New Zealand and forgot about it. I then had one other thing running on that same server under the same domain, and the domain had been blocked because it was masquerading as the Reserve Bank of Vanuatu. So, cautionary tale: never put a test server on your real live website that actually matters, because it took a day and a half to actually get that reconnected, and I had to plead my case that that it was actually used for training purposes, and I had to basically get rid of the directory and get rid of everything related to it before they'd switch it back on again. So it was a bit of a well, that could have gone much worse. Just fortunately, it was on a domain, a sort of a testing domain only, and it didn't really matter. But it just
not your hosting environment.
What's that?
Wasn't your hosting environment then?
No, it was on Ventra, and it was actually Crazy Domains where I have my domain registered. They took it offline, but they didn't send me any notification or anything. It just stopped working.
Right.
And so when I went and
that's crazy.
Looked up the error message, and they rightfully so. They because it was a bank, they said they take those sorts of actions fairly seriously.
Yeah.
And away they went. But yeah, it was just be careful with test data. It can get picked up in areas that you're not sort of aware.
Can't say I've done any work for any banks. Yeah, probably haven't come across that.
So that's my cautionary tale. Clean up after yourself too.
Just a question too, another technical question, which might be as speaking of Ventra. I go with the staging in the past. What I've done is I've locked the folder, the staging folder, so that Google can't find it, no one else can find it. I've got to enter a password and so forth. And blow me down, if every so often I go in there and that privacy has been taken off. I thought, well, why is this? Why is this happening? And I wondered if the privacy was actually fixed on the .htaccess file, because then the explanation would be is that I've got in there and restored the live site in the staging area to do some testing, and of course I've clobbered the htaccess file. And I just wondered if anybody knew with these private, when you lock a file. That is how it works. Okay, thank you, Nathan.
If you protect the directory through cPanel, it basically writes some rules to the htaccess file.
Okay.
So if you then override that, it will.
Good. Thank you. You well, at least I've embarrassed myself in front of friends as opposed to embarrassing myself by going to Venture and saying, guess what's going on?
I've had come across that where I had to work it out and go, oh yeah, of course, that's how it's doing it. So, yeah.
Which has reminded me, I now need to go and turn on the robots thing, stop following, because I don't want Google to update
your robots.
Yes, I've got to go and do that right now.
Yes, to block that folder.
I'd forgotten to do that when I did my last upgrade.
Because it'll show up. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Right, here we go.
So just a question in the space here. How is everyone going with upgrading e-commerce sites in the J3 to J4 space? Have people got anyone that's successfully doing it? Are we all just hanging on by a cliff because none of the developers are doing their upgrading?
I've done a couple, but I think Russell's your man.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been working on this for about 1.5 years now. It's a project. I've only got 12 sites to look after. They tend to be complex sites, but there's still only 12 of them. So I've basically had a basket of projects for about 1 year now, and I'm moving them all through. They have dependencies between them. I mean, there's a set of half a dozen VirtueMart sites. They need specific treatment. There are some dependencies between them that I've had to resolve over a period of time, but they're getting close.
And you're moving them to J. There's two stages, I think. One is that they play on PHP 8 or minimum, which is one problem we have. And then the second one is the upgrade to J4. So it's like
all true. All true.
Yeah.
And of the two, PHP 8 has been the harder problem every time.
Yeah.
Every single time. But I would say that of all the sites I've got, probably about 95% there. I'm missing out a couple of plugins on the VirtueMart sites, and then I've got them. I've got them all for J4 and also PHP 8.
Wow.
But I guess in general, you've got to be strategic about your product choices. And that helps you. That helps you down the track when you have, migration phases. I've had relatively little trouble because I tend to go with bigger suppliers and I tend to use more of their product lines. I use them cooperatively. So that means it all smooths out when you've got migration projects or you've got integration work to do, that kind of thing. That's general advice. But that would be my view of it. But overall, I would expect to make the deadline to get all of those sites through well and truly before the August deadline. So I can give you that kind of encouragement at any rate.
Okay.
I have a related question. Has anyone played with or encountered Apple Pay and Google Pay as alternative payment systems to the traditional credit card and PayPal, etc.?
Well, they're for retail payment services more than anything. I'm sure they'd like to extend that to online, and I have no doubt whatsoever they will.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
You can certainly get Apple Pay plugins.
Yep.
A few different systems, and also, what was the other one? Square, I think, is also
Google Pay.
Oh, Google Pay, yeah.
Pay, Afterpay.
I think if you look in Stripe, you can, I think in Stripe or in Square, I think it's Stripe, you can switch on the various other options in the background. So basically it takes care of that transaction for you, but it doesn't work in all cases.
No, you plug any of your e-commerce system is going to need to support it as well. Yeah.
You got a component. You get a user to a point where they have a transaction form in front of them, and payment services is one of the elements of that form. So the first thing is you want to plug in for whatever form handler or whatever component that you're using. And basically the conversation starts there. If your component provider happens to support or, got a third party that supports Google Pay or Apple Pay, then you got a chance. But payment services are very complex technology, very nasty stuff with lots of security standards around them, and there's legal liabilities wrapped around that. So you can't take anything for granted with payments. I wouldn't at any rate. And I certainly wouldn't be, if my client rang me up tomorrow and said, our online shop, we want to do Google Pay. What do you reckon? I would say, come back in a year. But it's all going to depend on your component. It's going to depend on what your component will support as far as payment services are concerned.
I think it depends on the complexity as well. I mean, I've had a couple of really basic standard shops that I've upgraded and it's just been fine. But, Russell's sites are a lot more complex than that. And it sounds like yours are as well, Britt. So you probably have a bit more planning, but, a couple of basic ones I've upgraded. The plugins work, everything works like it did when it was on Joomla 3. Hasn't really been an issue. But they're, just doing really, really basic stuff.
Have you got shops that are actually using these payment services, Google and Apple Pay?
Oh, me? No, hell no.
Okay.
No, I've just
Has
seen
anybody got any transaction-oriented site that is using these payment services?
Not on J4, we don't.
No, so I get how it works, but the problem typically is that the Joomla plugin for the Joomla payment plugin for whichever e-commerce platform is there hasn't been modified by the developer to incorporate the functionality with checkbox. So you've got to go in and work out what the API code is and all the rest of it to get it to do that. And it's something I've been looking at the last 12 months because of another project where down the track there's the potential that another service that's coming online at the moment are looking at creating a whole open source servicing division that would mean that they would have a plugin that would work for every type of e-commerce and CMS platform. Plug and play and then plug in the different things. So so I've had to start doing the homework, but it's certainly not pretty at the moment. And Brid, have I missed you bringing up the topic that we were talking about this afternoon?
Well, that's kind of where I was going, that we have only got how many sites, Stuart, a handful maybe of J2 store sites, and we've been openly transparent with the developers saying we really need to upgrade these sites when, and poking frequently. And I just did a recent test of the upgrade. I just went through the J3 to J4 upgrade, and it just errored everywhere. So clearly they're nowhere near ready.
Well, it depends. It depends on your.
And these are fairly basic e-commerce sites. I mean, I don't know, Stuart, that was the coffee one that I was testing, but there's not that much complicated stuff in there, is there? I mean,
no. So I've just gone live, and is Malcolm still in there? No, Malcolm's dropped off. So Malcolm's new version of his website's just gone live overnight with Joomla 4, and finally last night I sat down and went, okay, well, let's bust this open. So J2 store now has a J4 release candidate, and so that is now working well enough that if you're only selling sort of basic products, everything seems to be in there. Some of the defaults aren't that pleasant to deal with, and you've still got to work your way with, where in the back end of the J2 store you've got to put all the things. It's not like there's a nice straightforward wizard to work it out. But we're trying, because he used a Square Up, and their Square Up plugin, I went back to them and said it was so, and I can't understand why there's so much of a framework difference between J3 and J4 that would impact their programming to then affect their payment gateways. So Square Up had disappeared, Square Up has its own quirks, but the Square Up plugin for Joomla 3 doesn't work in Joomla 4 at the moment, and they've only got it working for 3 or 4 territories at the second. So we kept on trying it, and then finally last night I set up a Stripe account for Malcolm to get it working, and now everything goes straight through. So I know now that J2 store works satisfactorily enough. In this case, I'm still,
is that a new build in J4, or is it an upgrade?
So I've only got 2 other sites that are in J3, but they've got a whole lot of other.
So it's not passing the upgrade at the moment.
No. So, and from what I'm not so much reluctant, but I don't think I've got any sites that I would just go from J310 dot whatever to Joomla 4 with a reliable click through. We've audited another site today where it was still using RDO Joomla and had 50 7,000 URLs that have been accumulated there that need to be audited. And when I did a filter, instantly 16,000 of them were variations on something that's not being used anymore in the system and stuff like that. So they've got 2,800 articles. So I'm putting a list together now, and it's already at 3 pages of, before we can go ahead, we have to go and clean up all of this dead wood stuff that's sitting in the background, so that it doesn't just come straight across. So I don't think I'm going to have many sites that I just go and click the button.
No.
Colin's might be the only one actually. So any that have been developed only in the last sort of 2 years might be candidate.
Yeah, these are relatively new sites. These are J2 store sites that have only been developed in the last year because we weren't confident in J4. And we can't upgrade them, and we get great big huckery PHP 8 warnings because we can't upgrade the PHP 8 either.
That's been my biggest issue. Like I've got an install that I've duplicated recently for 2 other similar project sites for a client. And they're running Membership Pro, eDocman, Easy Discuss, a couple of other ancillary programs, but I guess they're the 3 main components. So running an online forum, RS Forum Pro with some fairly complicated expense reimbursement forums. But when I did the duplicate, I took the version 3 site that I'd built, duplicated it, and then upgraded everything to Joomla 4 to do the new one, because I was happy that each of those pieces of software had a Joomla 4 version. And frankly, it all went perfectly fine until I decided to enable PHP 8. And, then pretty much every component which had recently released an update saying it was PHP 8 compatible was generating errors on various views. And
Was it generating deprecated errors, or was it fatal errors?
No, fatal errors, like a couple of fatal errors, ones where, but it'd be something that's perhaps slightly obscure in the component where you go to edit the details of a category description or something like that, and it's not done all the time, and you save, and then it just, could not find table or function, blah, blah, blah. And then you switch it back to 7.4 and same function would work perfectly fine. I had a good play with Guru the other day, Russell, the LMS, the Joomla, mate.
Yep.
Have a look at it, which I quite like.
Yeah. It's a
It's
nice little mid-range package, I reckon. It's good for a tertiary training institution, small one, private college.
Absolutely. Apparently 8.0 and 8.1 compatible, but no, it is not. I went to just create a new teacher, and then hit save and function error, blah, blah, blah.
Well, Joomla, having bought all of those third-party suppliers, they are going to have the mother of all headaches getting all of their products across the line.
Yeah, they are struggling, to catch up, certainly.
Yeah.
They released the beta of Ad Agency Pro finally about a month ago, after hundreds of people hassled them incessantly because they were like, no, we're not updating. They finally did.
This is the thing. I mean, what incentive is there for Joomla developers to come back to something that might have been a passion project 5-10 years ago when they made it, to then come in and put it in? I mean, I went looking for QR code plugins the other day and ended up instead just creating a template override to fix the problem that I needed for the client. So, but I think there was 5, and 2 of them had been released in 2014 and last updated in 2016. So the underlying code probably hadn't changed, but it also meant that they hadn't refactored it for 4 and things like that. So.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, that's kind of what happened with that Agency Pro. They kind of just didn't make any announcements about the Joomla 4 version, and then someone posted on the forum, and then within a couple of months there was like 200 or 300 people, and it's like, well, these are people who actually own the product. And it's not a cheap product either. So eventually they kind of went, actually, so I guess there is a financial incentive for us to update the software, but you're right. If it's a passion project that's become a business, you know,
Yeah.
generally
There's
has a
been-
finite lifetime.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shakeout. Joomla Force brought through a lot of shakeout, but you know, for my money, I reckon probably the WordPress developers trying to get across the PHP barrier. I reckon they're the ones that are probably going to be having the most pain over the next year.
Oh yeah.
And now too, because you know, how much stuff is there in WordPress that won't go past PHP 7.4?
Yeah. Or doesn't work in 7.4 already. So,
Well, I don't know about that, but
No,
I wouldn't want to be on their side of the fence. That's all I can say.
and I even had a site that I had to rapidly rebuild the other day. So the person that developed it said, "Oh, we're closing down shop, so you need to take your site off the server and put it on new hosting, and you've got 20 days to do it." And of course, that was 3 days before Christmas. So the client said, "I've got to put somewhere." But then they've opened up the site once it's been moved, and everything's trashed because absolute URLs wreak havoc. And
Yeah.
the particular problem was it was causing a mixed content HTTPS flag. So the fonts all had a non-HTTPS URL. And so then most modern browsers won't load the font because it was calling it with HTTP and breaking it from there. So it's I don't know that the people that they switched the hosting to would have even been able to easily fix that had they been back in the office. But it's something I've encountered a few times now, and know that install a particular plugin that will then nag you to buy it, and once you've got that plugin installed, then you can do a find and replace and sort it all out in the back end of the site. But yeah, it's they're also uploading 5,000 by 3,000 pixel images and wondering why the site didn't perform properly. So in the chat, I posted a ideas link that I've just put on the meetup board. So if you have ideas about what you'd like to know for the rest of the year, the Joomla events global calendar is very sparse at the moment because most user groups tend to just drop what's coming up in the next couple of weeks on there once they've worked it out. The plan that Stuart, Nathan and I have been talking about is to actually try and get 6 to 12 months of calendar sorted out. So then we can try and up the ante and monopolize the fact that would mean that if we had 12 months, then we'd be the next 12 events on the global calendar ready to go and get that going. So if you've got specific things you might be interested in or might want to put your name next to present, that'll be the harder part. It'd be great to see some ideas in there.
How to solve the invalid token error. I'll do that.
Only if you've solved it, Robert.
Oh, I did find this. If you've looked at the Joomla Shack, message, they did recommend using this plugin by Joom United. However, it's only rated for Joomla 3.
I think Patrick's on the right path with the
yeah, I think so. But again, it's interesting because this particular page, this is the blank page with it's not a blank page. That's the interesting thing. It's it looks like a properly formulated message. Anyway, I shall do a PowerPoint presentation for you on how to fix it.
Excellent.
when I fixed it.
But you're the only one who's got it.
But when you start to ask for people's comments and things like that, you too will have this problem, potentially, or not. I can't believe I'm the only person. I mean, each website's unique and in terms of templates and so forth, but it's...
I run a comments website, Robert, but
You
it's,
do?
yeah, the Australian Book Review one has comments.
Never had this? Never had this error?
No, but it's using K2 and it's integrated comment system.
Yeah.
So it just works. It's not a Joomla 4. That's a whole nother thing I don't want to think about right now, given it's got 8,000 articles in K2. Did anybody see the passive aggressive K2 release update last week from Nicholas? No? Big blog posts about new features and how they're moving to a rolling release schedule, and then a little blurb at the end about Joomla 4 and how they were going to have a version ready in a couple of months. So he says, but then also had a good solid whinge in the announcement about Joomla 4 and how hard it was to migrate K2 over to it. And I just felt like getting out the world's smallest violin for him and playing him a song. So, Jesus, mate, you've had how long? Like, we're pretty much getting ready for Joomla 5, mate, and you still haven't managed to pump out, and then a big whinge about abandoning backwards compatibility, like that's something to actually bloody aspire to. Anyway.
I guess that harks back to the question that I had about the e-commerce guys that are stagnating with the migration, upgrading components of their software, and what on earth can we do? Because it was reaching a point that our customers, our clients are seeing PHP errors because we can't upgrade. They're seeing the flashing Joomla update, which obviously we can turn that off. We can't turn the PHP warning off. If they're an admin, they see it, or at least they do on mine, because I haven't worked out how to not let them see it.
And then they ask
You can turn it off.
But either way, it's bad form to be getting it so close to the wire and not being in a position to say to them, okay, look, no, the developers are really committed and they're going to be doing this. Because I don't feel like we're having those committed conversations from those developers. And is it because we're not supporting them enough, or is it because they don't know enough, or is it?
Yeah, Steve Burge from Joomla Shack actually tweeted today and added Regular Labs guy and was kind of saying that basically that I think Joomla 3 is being cut off too soon. You know, that the warning message is, well, it's August, is it? I think this year.
I mean, it's
and he was basically just saying that there's a number of developers still working on updating some fairly large pieces of software that aren't quite ready yet. And that pretty much along the lines of what you're saying, Britt, that, you know, having this, you know, message coming up, or, you know, also just the fact that the deadline is so soon, he found problematic. So.
And, you know, you can see from a client perspective, they're seeing it, they think we're not doing our job. So, you know, I'm actually losing clients. You know,
you can disable
for whatever reason, I'm losing clients because maybe they just don't like me. But, you know, either way, I'm losing.
There's nobody who doesn't like you.
It's,
sure, it's with knives.
You can disable the update message though, can't you, Russell?
Yeah, there's a PHP version check plugin. You can just disable it. And then you don't see the banner message. And it's fair enough because everybody knows that 7.4 is end of life. So, you know, it's not doing anybody any favors.
It's not like you need to be reminded every day. No?
Yeah, well, just disable the plugin really, because it's only creating grief at this stage.
We get all different levels of clients. We get some who never even go into the back end, and then we get some that are in there all the time, you know, and basically policing and thinking we're not doing our job. And we're saying, well, actually, no, we know about those updates, but we're not doing them because we actually can't yet, because we've got them in test environments and they're not proceeding. So we can't actually do it, and we won't do them until we can.
Yeah. You got third-party stuff that's on the critical path. It's a project issue. You know,
And
that's
you know, we're not charging these clients at the moment for these upgrades, but it's like it's ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous with the time that we invest and don't bill for. And then also just the embarrassment that, you know, we've got a product that they somehow feel is defunct because it's not progressing, you know?
yeah.
So I just wondered if I'm clearly not the only one that's
No,
faced with
there's
that.
lots of friction. There's
Yeah.
lots of friction and frustration. But each client, each custom by and large is a separate case. They've all got their own dependencies. There's all these third-party developers. They're all faced with the same issue.
Yeah.
PHP 8's going to slow them down as well as Joomla 4. It's a reality. And there's basically a dialogue to be had with every single customer, because to a greater or lesser extent, you've got these issues with every one of them. And this has been coming for quite some time and will keep going for another few months. And maybe for some sites, it'll go past the August date. Maybe there'll be some critical plugins that will never make it. I know there's one crucial plugin I need for Virtumart shops, and I've outsourced that thing. I've outsourced it for conversion to Joomla 4 and PHP 8. Because it's critical to some of my customers. And if I had not done that, the developer was long gone. He's been gone for about 6 years. So there'd be customers operating on J3 and I would not be able to get them there. But, you know, that's the project with those customers. That currently is my biggest headache, but all the other customers, to a greater or lesser extent, they all have migration issues and they've all got to be ironed out at a detailed level. Either you find some way to get the developer to upgrade the plugin, or else the customer has to find an alternative, or you and the customer have to find an alternative to do that particular feature, or maybe do without it. And there have been a few of those as well.
I've had a couple
I
of
feel your pain.
Yeah. It's just the hands are tied, and you know.
But also, it doesn't contribute to the. I had a conversation with someone Christmas time, and he said, "Oh, and what's your website?" And I said, "It's Joomla." No, it's a bit old-fashioned, isn't it? And now, I take your point. However, I then thought, you know, when I got involved with Joomla, I didn't know about WordPress. So then I found out about WordPress. I can't remember now. I'm going to say 10 years ago, but it might not be. But there were, it's not like Joomla. There was Joomla 2.5, say, and then it was going to Joomla 3, and then there's WordPress 4, and now we're marching on merrily with WordPress 6 or something, where it's just got to Joomla 4. You could say, well, you didn't need all those things, but it is a marketing perspective, and now we're talking about Joomla 5. We've had Joomla 3 for a long time, so
This is life in software.
Yeah,
I think there's fairly marginal differences between a lot of those WordPress versions, Robert.
Sorry, Nathan.
Aside from Gutenberg, there's a lot of marginal increases in those WordPress versions. Most of them were about PHP compatibility.
Okay, so they came up with major version numbers at the drop of a hat.
Just because you've got a higher number doesn't mean it's better software.
I know, but there's this, you know, it's the marketing. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Others see.
That's why Joomla 5 is coming up too.
So is the question that we're not supportive enough of some of these developers? I mean, I don't know.
No, I just think it's a bit of a timeline thing. I mean, some of these components are thousands and thousands of lines of code. You know, converting them to, you know, upgrading them to PHP 8 or 8.1 compatibility is not like a weekend exercise.
No, this is serious, highly skilled work. I have had a crack, you know, that plugin that I was talking about on Virtumart, the shipment plugin. I had a crack at doing the J4 conversion for myself, and I would still be doing it, you know, 3 or 4 months later. it was a tough job, and I've done a lot of this kind of work over the years. But this, meeting the language standards for PHP 8 and PHP 8.1 at the same time as new conventions for Joomla plugin programming. Okay, that was actually something I didn't need right before Christmas.
That wasn't on your list for Santa?
Yeah, and the developers, some of them have got a mountain of product that they've got to get across these barriers. The longer they've been in business, the harder they're going to find it, because the more lax their code standards will have been over the years.
Or the bigger gap between Bootstrap 2 and Bootstrap 5, which is where a few of them sit in e-commerce space, isn't it?
Somebody told me once that IT, that the digital industry, is the most fashion conscious industry on earth. And it is true.
Yeah.
And it will come round and bite us all on the arse several times a day.
Yeah.
I know that some of the developers, well, a lot of the time it's just them resourcing their own programming needs. But a hilarious example was when I suggested a particular feature and sort of gave them enough pseudocode to do it. And in response, I got added to their GitHub repository to say, do it yourself, and contribute it into their product. So that still hasn't happened, because I then had to work out how to convert my pseudocode into suitable PHP. And that's not being done in a hurry. So there's a few, like if I could find what it was that was stopping some of these developers actually progressing and could give them that resource, then I'd find that resource. But and it comes to economies of scale sometimes. If you've got 100,000 subscribers to your software that are using the WordPress version, but you've got 100 subscribers for the Joomla version, then you go where the money is, and that's one of the other problems there. So
there's also different scales within Joomla developers. Like someone like UTheme have got thousands and thousands of subscribers, fully kitted out offices in Hamburg, and release incremental updates probably once a week, just about.
That's right. Yeah.
Whereas you've got others might be one bloke or one woman who's doing the coding.
I think you've got likes of Peter from Regular Labs that's passionate about coding, but then and it's more that how he entwines his plugins into the Joomla core. That level of integration is the part that keeps on kicking him into the pants. So
you also have freaks like the guy from Regular Labs, Peter Weston, who just seems to code in every waking minute.
Feels that way,
I know he's got a couple of guys that work with him now, but still, they certainly pump out the releases.
Including a bug that I got him to fix the other day. So when Regular Labs fills your components menu on Joomla 4, you can go into the Regular Labs library, and there's a combine admin items option in the plugin, and with that on Joomla 3, it combined them into a Regular Labs menu item in the components and a submenu. And that wasn't quite working, so he's fixed that in the latest version, which is one of the things that's tied in with all of the recent updates, because it's cascading, because the library gets published with every plugin along the way.
With Regular Labs and Articles Anywhere, I noticed a problem yesterday that I hadn't seen before. Some of the articles I've got have got commas in them in the titles, and if they've got a comma in the title, it wasn't displaying it. I got around it because I could then I realized there are only a few, so I used the article ID instead, so I could display it where I wanted to. But I hadn't noticed this before, and I didn't know if it was a new problem or whether I should have perhaps in the his documentation is fantastic, so it's probably in the documentation somewhere. But it doesn't cope with a comma in the title. But I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody notices that, then you can use your article ID instead, and it works a treat.
I
Oh,
often use the article ID because it helps prevent when customers change the title of the article.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah.
and I tend to use aliases rather than the title.
Another good point. All right.
But he's got I know in re-replacer there's a square bracket, comma, word, square bracket is what you use to replace a comma with like a hard-coded comma alternative.
Underscore.
So there may be a short code that needs to go in if you're looking for a comma, but because you're actually putting it in the title, yeah, that would be where there's an issue there. So alias and ID would help there.
Yeah. I think I didn't think of the alias. I could have done that, but as Nathan says, if you go and change the title, the ID is a good solid way to ensure that it's there.
Yeah, if it's something you're doing yourself, just to set it up, then yeah, it's kind of a bit more unbreakable, I guess.
That's
So
what I like.
I had that happen where, client went and changed the title of the article and I was pulling it in somewhere else. So then it wasn't being pulled in anymore. It's like, yeah, no, let's not do that. I will give a quick shout out to a good experience with Joomla developers recently. Russell's probably come across them, a mob called Joomla Pro, who make a lot of U-theme add-ons. Yeah, you're getting the thumbs up from Russell there.
They are legends. The
Yeah,
way
yeah.
they performed over the Christmas New Year break, that was nothing short of exceptional.
Yeah, like I bought this Switcher Pro element from them. So basically it's like the Switcher element, except it lets you load a whole section of the U-theme builder as your tab content. So it's basically the tabs element that you can load sections rather than just, the little bits that the U-theme element gives you. And I had been using previously Regular Labs sort of tabs plugin, which generates URLs for the tabs and also does back and forth switching. So if you go back and forward, it will switch between the tabs. So it remembers the history of your browser clicking. But more importantly, also means for advertising purposes, you can provide marketing with a direct link to the second tab URL, so that they can advertise that and it will load the content from the second tab. Didn't do that in Switcher Pro, so I just lodged a support ticket and said, be good if you did this for SEO and marketing perspective. And I came back 3 days later and said, we've released an updated version, we've added that in. Fantastic. I went and had a look at it, and then sure enough, it worked in the sense that you could put the URL directly into the browser and it would load the tab content. But then I looked at it and went, but it doesn't, if I switch on the other one, the URL doesn't change. I can't go back and forth. Went back to them again and said, look, that's great. It'd be really good if you could, if it did this too. Oh, thanks, we'll add that to the roadmap. Roadmap apparently only took another 3 days. There's another version that now does the full whole box and dice, basically.
Wow.
And I did reply to them and just say, I am super impressed. That is some of the more responsive support I've ever come across.
Yeah, Joomla Pro, very good operation.
Where are they based out of? Do you know?
Sweden.
Okay.
Sweden,
Wow.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, but there are videos and stuff as well are good. They shoot videos on their different plugins, but it's very
I ran across something in another context on a site about a week or two ago. There's an operation called Flat Studio.
Yeah, I bought Grid Pro on the weekend.
Grid Pro?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's very nice.
Nice.
Although I did discover an issue with it that the sub layouts aren't constrained if you use dynamic queries.
Yeah.
So it starts again, so I need to lodge a ticket. But yeah, no, it's a very nice piece of kit. And in terms of doing more complex layouts, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. That really, other than that, in a grid, you can put a bunch of cards. Yeah, it's very hard to even do a horizontal, a line by line layout in a single column. That's not so easy.
So it's basically got 8 different positions and support for up to 20 custom fields,
That's right.
plus sub layouts.
That's right. That's right. That's definitely the solution for good grid content. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've got a Table Pro thing too, which looks just as good.
They do have quite a few nice things, Russell. Yes.
Mm.
The name is odd.
Yeah, and there's a lot of opportunities.
Studio.
The youth theme marketplace is expanding all the time, and there's a lot of opportunity in there. Yeah, you can write content into it. You can write, design widgets and plugins and all kinds of stuff, and it's a very good vehicle. There's a lot of strength in the product line now.
For sure.
So it's a good bet.
Yeah, I agree. Only issue with Flat Studio is that they're based in Ukraine, so they may take a little while to get back to you.
Sorry, say again.
Flat Studio is
Yep.
based in Ukraine,
Yeah,
so they may take a little while to get back to you on the support queries.
yeah.
It says it on their support form. Just in case you're wondering, we're in a war, so
Don't complain. Yeah.